Hello and welcome to the allotment. It's the 23rd of August. It's about 9:30 in the morning. The sun is out at the minute, maybe rain later, so let's make the most of it. For a change, I know exactly what this week's Dig Dave Dig is going to be about. It's going to be about storms and Christmas potatoes. Let's go! Right, here I am in the shelter at the back of the allotment. I've got a desk now where I can report the week's news. So a couple of days ago we had a massive storm, 45 miles an hour winds, etc. Luckily enough, I was on hand to report direct from the scene. Let's go back a couple of days. The sweet corn seem to be hanging on in there. Sweet corn have very shallow roots. You can see here on this one, you can see the roots sticking out of the ground. It's probably a good job I planted them quite close together. They seem to be leaning on one another, so they're alright so far. My climbing beans are getting blown about by the wind. Oh, look at that. Look at that. Some of the leaves are looking a bit bedraggled. They're all together acting like almost a sail that the wind is hitting, plus they're tied to wire. There's no flexibility with them, they're just getting hit by the wind. Hopefully they will be okay. They're not getting blown out of the ground because I've weighed down the bottom with some bricks, etc. But no, they're not happy at the minute. Behind the shelter of this climbing bean curtain, the leeks are going like, what? What's the problem? What is the problem? They're not bothered at all. Well, the squash are a bit low to the ground. They're still getting hit by the wind, but they're quite big plants, and I think some of the vines must have anchored themselves down because they're not being, although the leaves are blowing, they're not getting tossed around much. So they look like they're going to be okay. And then courgettes at the back, they're not bothered at all. So apart from my climbing beans, the main casualty today is my pear tree. Getting tossed about by the wind there. There were 4 or 5 pears on that just 2 days ago. Those 4 or 5 pears are now dotted around on the floor. We've got 1 pear still hanging on for dear life there, and 1 little one there that's not even worth talking about at the minute. All the rest have gone onto the floor. I was only here a couple of days ago, so I know they have just fallen on the ground, so I'm going to take them home and eat them. Windfall, that's what they call it. What a windfall. The apples are hanging on for dear life. To be honest, I think it's the weight of these apples on the branches that's stopping them blowing about too much. We have had one drop off. I'll take that one home, but I think I'm going to keep my fingers crossed for these. They seem to be hanging on so far. Back at the climbing beans, and disaster has struck. They're no longer climbing. Well, they're climbing horizontally now. The wind blowing on them has obviously highlighted a weakness in my structure. The support beam has come out of its mooring. Beans down, beans down. Do I fix that now while it's still windy, or wait? I'll give it a go now. Well, the beans are back up with a temporary fix, and that temporary fix will probably be permanent. Oh, what have we done? We've got an extra support beam going across. We've got a vertical support at the back, all roughly tied in as quickly as I could with some nice orange string. I know what the problem was. The top support was a cane carrying a lot of weight. you can see it's bent, and therefore it just dislodged itself from here, fastened everything in. Some of them have been damaged on the way, but I have to assess that situation when it's slightly less windy. As usual, the plant was hanging on. The plant was hanging on. Nature was hanging on, and humankind's error in building a technological structure failed them. Oh, there's lessons to be learned there, isn't there? Right, back to today, and let's have a look at the storm aftermath. Well, the sweet corn seems to have weathered the storm okay. I was worried about these because of the shallow roots they've got, but with them being close together, I think they've helped to support each other, but still standing. Well, the temporary props I put into the climbing bean structure seem to have held. The plant is mostly okay. It has some damaged parts from probably whiplash. So I'm going to snip them bits off. Hopefully the rest of the plant should be okay, unless it's that windy again before we get the beans. The apple tree then, oh, that was blowing about, wasn't it? Now miraculously, the vast majority of the apples are still on the tree. All good, hanging on for dear life they were. Now there's a couple more on the floor, but those apples are almost ready, so just wait for them to go a bit more red and we'll pick them. Plum news though. Let's traverse around the cherry tree to the plum tree over there. So on arrival at the allotment today, I discovered I did have a plum. Unfortunately, it's on the floor and it's all damaged, so that's probably no good. But looking closer at the tree from this angle, we do have a plum. And another one. I didn't think I had any plums, so that's good. 2 is better than none. I'm going to have a bit closer look at the tree, see if I can find any more. I'm going to pick them plums today. They're just about ready. I don't want to lose them to Mother Nature, like this poor soul down here. Right, Christmas potatoes, which I didn't know was a thing until a couple of months back. Plant now for new potatoes at Christmas. They're all sprouting, so no need to chip them really. I'm going to put them in the most sheltered spot I've got, which is next to the main crop of potatoes near the trees, because the real risk of planting these at this time of year is frost. So if I had the containers, I would probably be best planting them in containers so I could bring them inside or to a more sheltered spot if there's a risk of frost. Frost will be my main nemesis with these, so I'm going to put them in the ground and keep my fingers crossed. So I'm going to keep this as simple as possible. Dig some holes. Put the potatoes in. Right, I have covered those potatoes up. 16 weeks-ish till Christmas, so keep my fingers crossed for those. My main crop of potatoes have almost completely died back now, so I'm going to cut the tops off those, and then 2 weeks time I'm going to dig them up. There's a bit of an autumnal feel in the air at the minute, but there's still plenty to see in the next few months and weeks. We got carrots, radish, mega onion, spinach, sweet corn, turnips, squash, climbing beans, cucumbers maybe, leeks. Then what else have we got? We've got pumpkin, apples, I've got my plums, raspberries. Oh, Plenty still to come, plenty still to come. Those pears that dropped off the other day, I made good use of them in a crumble with some apples and blackberries. Right, that's it for this week. Thank you for watching. Click subscribe, send me a comment, and I'll see you next time. Cheers!